Hey there, everybody. How's it going? It's Brandon Brashears. I hope you're doing fantastic. Look, we're going to be talking about political emails today, and I'm very excited about this video. First of all, I want to say a few things. First, and I think most importantly, this isn't an endorsement for any campaign. I think that, and actually I am super apathetic towards politics in general, and I think that politics are just typically like pointless. I don't think either way, whoever wins isn't going to do anything either way. So I know this isn't a political show. I just wanted to say that I'm not endorsing any candidate, and I don't endorse Donald Trump. I don't endorse Beto. I am just trying to talk about some things that I think are very, very important, and also the marketing that the political ads are doing is amazing. So I just want to make sure everybody can hear me. So if you're watching, say what's up, say where you're watching from, say how it's going. I'm just going to make sure that everything is working properly. And I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. Today is going pretty good for me. My daughter had a concussion last week, which was a bummer. But other than that, things are going good in our house. I hope everybody's doing great. Just want to make sure everybody can hear me really quick. I'm going to listen. Yep. It's good times. All right, so let's jump into this. So I did a video that was a live video. No, it wasn't live. It was actually recorded. And we were talking specifically about Beto O'Rourke's Facebook ads. And there's a new Facebook ad tool that's pretty cool. I will link to it later on if you click the card. We'll talk about it later. But just, and as a side note, as we're going here, if you have any questions about marketing or funnels or things like that, we'll go through and do a review, question and answer type thing. I got my chat opened up here. So if you're watching, be sure to comment and say hello. And don't lurk. Nobody likes lurkers. Just kidding. If you're lurking, that's cool. All right. 1 second. So just let me know where you're watching from and how it's going. And today we're going to be talking about Donald Trump's email. So email marketing is still a really, really powerful tool to use for small business and any business in general. And for most of my clients, email is a great way to drive revenue. Another thing about email is that it's an owned medium, so you get to be in control of it. You get to control when it's sent out. You get control all kinds of things. So I think that specifically with Donald Trump's emails and the email marketing that he's doing, let's see here. The emails that he's doing, he's really understands his audience, I think is very important, number one. So let's jump into this. I'm going to share my screen here with you. Let's get going here. So we're in my Gmail account, and the reason why I thought about doing this is because of this email right here. So I've been getting his emails for a long time. I don't open them typically, but I think that they're super interesting from the perspective of, like, they are just so divisive and they're so segmented. Like he knows his audience so well. So figuring out your customer avatar, your client avatar is very, very important. And it's just interesting to see, what's going on. So this one is one we just got. It says Sleepy Joe is the headline. So first of all, the headline sells the open, right? And everybody knows who's a supporter of Donald Trump. Everybody knows who Sleepy Joe is referencing. It's Joe Biden, right? So I think this works really, really well for a few reasons. Number one, it's something that his audience is going to really align with and understand right away without having any further context. They're going to know who he's talking about, right? That's, I think, super interesting. Number two, it's a common enemy. The people that are Donald Trump supporters typically don't like Joe Biden. So that's very interesting, right? So he's, anyways, Donald Trump does an interesting job of giving people nicknames. I was thinking of, what was it? I'll have to think about it. I can't remember specifically. What was it? Lion Ted Cruz is who I thought, and Crooked Hillary, and these names that just stick. So he's like branding people and his competitors. It's just interesting. So he calls him Sleepy Joe Biden. And anyways, the way that this email is written, super interesting. First of all, he's got his recognizable little head, letterhead at the top, and his logo up there. Next, he's got personalized, which is great. And then he goes into talking about Sleepy Joe Biden. I don't know why he calls him Sleepy Joe Biden. He doesn't actually talk about it. But then what he's doing is, he just problem, agitate, solution. That's one of the formulas for marketing, right? Problem, agitate, solution. One of the oldest formulas in the book when it comes to doing copywriting formulas. And that's what he's doing here. So he says, hey, Brandon, here's the problem. Joe Biden just announced that he's going to run for president. And then it's interesting. What a joke. This part right here, it's really interesting because it makes it conversational, like the president was actually writing this. And it's using words that are like if he would be using this. It's very interesting. But let's continue here. Can you imagine what would happen if in 2020 if someone like Joe Biden actually won? Right, so problem, agitate, and then where's the solution? We need the solution. So they're asking you for who's the worst. So figure out who is the worst person. Would he be the worst one, or would I guess it's not a problem, agitate, solution, but there's definitely problem and agitate. And then the call to action here is not like, hey, keep us out, which would have been interesting. But the way that this is worded here, it's so interesting. Let's see what happens here. We've got all of the candidates here, and what this is going to do is segment us into different spots. And it's really smart because it tells you who is your least favorite, like who is our common enemy here for the people that are receiving this email. Like who is it the person that you dislike the most? And framing it in this way is so interesting because then in future emails, they can stoke fears and really help to say like, hey, you don't want Bernie Sanders, or you don't want Elizabeth Warren, or you don't want any one of these people to go and take the presidency. So they're figuring out who is it that you're trying to, who's the biggest person that's going to pose the biggest threats to the people reading, or the perceived threats, right? So I think it's very interesting because it's like from a perspective of fear as far as who is the biggest. They're using so many emotional cues here inside of this email that is driving additional contribution and things. I'm going to bet you that if we click on one of these, it's going to take us to a page where we can contribute. And I'd be really interested to see if I was setting up this funnel and I was trying to sell like contributions, which is ultimately, they don't really care. The purpose of every one of these emails is to contribute to the campaign. That's what they're selling. Absolutely. Know that for sure. That's what every single political campaign is trying to do, get campaign contributions so that they can have more money to advertise and things. So it's going to be interesting to see though. Let's click and examine this further here and jump in here. So I'm going to just click on Joe Biden just to see what happens. Okay. So interesting right here. And like I haven't clicked this before yet. This is my first time running through it, so we're doing it live right now. Super interesting. What's going on? Let's see here. So first of all, it says vote confirmed, Sleepy Joe Biden. So that's super interesting. Just the language that they're using, it is so divisive. I think that's one thing that political ads show us, is that when we're doing marketing, they're not going for everybody. They're going for the people that they know will be their biggest contributors and that will be their base. They're not trying to go for the middle ground. They're going for the far sides of everything. They're going for people who are afraid of, the boogeyman that they're putting out there and the things that they're putting out there that are scary. So on both sides, this is absolutely happening. And the more divisive they can be and the more fear-mongering that they can do, the more it's going to sell, right? They're selling fear, and fear is the main motivator for these campaign contributions. So let's jump back into this landing page. What's up, Mr. Jesse Lawler? I'm going to show that one. That comment was reviewed for language, Jesse. That's your first warning, my friend. Just kidding. All right. So let's jump back in here, though. super interesting, right? So we had this landing page, which was, I mean, this email, which was like, who is your worst nightmare situation? And then we had the landing page, which said, you know, vote confirmed. I don't know if you can see this. I think my my screen is in the way. I'm gonna minimize this a little bit here so that you can see it because my head's in the way. Okay, so it says vote confirmed. Sleepy Joe Biden, thank you for voting. The Democrats are laughing stock of America. They're a group of socialist, anti-American, corrupt, established politicians. It's repulsive. So that's interesting. I mean, that language really feels like Donald Trump. It's like what he uses. So they've got the language and messaging down. And we need to ramp up our efforts to ensure they never see the White House, right? So problem, agitate, solution. The solution is in this landing page, right? Very interesting. And then we have these amounts here. I thought it was super interesting that they used 42. What is $42? What's special about that? I'm not sure. I wonder if that's like the average contribution amount. So then they just made it so that it's like, oh, there must be a specific reason for $42. I don't know. That's interesting. I like, if I'm from a marketing perspective, this button here of make it a recurring donation. That's super smart, right? Give people ease of friction and things. So I'm not going to go through here and donate. But let's say it's interesting too that they don't have an enter your own amount. I think that if you were doing, you know, I would have an enter your own amount section in there too. I don't want to make this recurring. Let's see what happens when we go through. Let's take a look at their funnel if it takes us to another page. Okay, so it's same page. That was super quick load times. That's optimized for conversion. Super solid. Bill Clinton was 42. That would be... Well, he's 45. Obama was 44. Obama was 44. Bush was 43. Yep, Clinton was 42. Good times there, sir. So that's interesting. But then you have to put your name in, and I'm sure it takes you to an upsell. So if you didn't see the Beto video, by the way, I donated $1 to Beto's to see his whole funnel, to see what it looked like and things. This I got onto Donald's email list because I saw an ad that said sign a petition to build the border wall, right? So it was like a super divisive issue, and I was like, wow, this is very segmenting and very interesting. But I think what the biggest takeaways here from his emails in general is that if you're doing digital marketing, you need to know your audience and understand what it is that their biggest fears are, what their biggest concerns are. Understand that these people, the people that are on your list, if you're selling them what they want and what they're looking for, it's super interesting. All of these emails. Let's jump on back in here and take a look at some more of these emails as we go through it. So this one here, Obama worked with Russia ? That's like, I just don't know. It's just selling talking points that you know people are going to respond to and engage with. It's super divisive. He's not afraid to like divide and say basically anything. This one here, we need the wall, April 24th. It's just a couple days ago he sent it there. You know, these are issues that are super divisive, right? And it's going to appeal to the base who voted for him. It's going to charge up his biggest, you know, followers and things. It's all about, you know. Also, we have some Mueller report, which we've got these two emails here, which are around those, and I'm sure that each one of these emails is driving people here. So it's very interesting. We have additional engagement. Every single one of these emails is looking. So please publicly stand with the president in the next 3 hours. So urgency and to join the official Defend the President coalition before the Mueller report is released tomorrow, right? This doesn't do anything. This isn't an actual petition. It just is getting people to take action again, to resegment them, to re-engage them. And when you're doing emails, he's using this as a way to build and further the relationship. Anytime you can get somebody in email to jump to your website or to take action and to click or to consume more content, to take the next step, if you are even in baby steps, right? If we go through and just ask people to take incremental steps in when we're selling things online, and we're saying, hey, take this next step. Hey, take this next step. We're training people to take action in the way that we want to engage with them. And then, so there's, a bunch of uses for this outside of politics. Obviously, he's super divisive, and I think almost every business wouldn't want to be so divisive in that they're, targeting their core base and things. They want people to, be kind of everywhere. People are a lot of times afraid to take this kind of a stand, and I totally get it, because you would get a lot of repercussions and blowback from it. But I think that, understanding who your clients are and who your clients aren't when you're doing any kind of digital marketing is important. And like the people that are doing his marketing, and obviously this isn't coming from Donald Trump, it's the company that's doing the marketing for him. They easily understand exactly who their clients are, who their potential customers are, and who their potential customers are not, right? And so with that, they're doing all kinds of smart things to get micro steps in like building the relationship and taking the next step. And what's the next step? How can we get this person to increase, the basically engagement with our brand and stuff? So let's jump back in here. I bet you, so like every single time though, right? One thing that's clear, there's always a clear call to action. We have a problem, we're agitating that problem, and then we're asking people to take action. That's what's going on here in these emails. And a lot of these emails are using fear as the tactic, right? So don't let this happen. This is going to happen. This will be taken away from you. This is going to be a repercussion for you. And that makes a lot of sense in that, like, fear is a motivator that drives people to action. And so usually there's a few things. You have status, fear of loss, and then potential for gain. Those are pretty much the only three things that will motivate people to do things, right? Except, there's like, for love of family member, is another thing. But those are the primary motivators typically when you're selling. So let's jump back in here and see. Okay, let's just take a look here. And I'm going to see what happens once we get in here. So, yep, look at that. We have another page here, and I just got a bunch of text messages. Fantastic. I'm excited to be spammed by... I'm not being spammed. I opted in here. So, again, we're confirming giving status, right? In this messaging, it says, President Trump will always remember that you, a true American patriot, stood by him during this witch hunt. So again, it's super divisive language in that it's segmenting our audience. They understand so well who the audience is and what is going to get them to take action for the next thing. So that signing of it's not even a real petition or anything, right? It's just putting your name and your contact info to further the relationship, take that step. They've gotten a yes from you there, and now they're trying to get another sale from you here. And really that's, what it is. If you look at... like supplement companies, and it used to be a lot more prevalent in supplement companies that would sell, micro commitments and then upsell. If you've ever run on a website that had endless upsells, and I think of ClickFunnels endless upsells, it's interesting that you can see, similar tactics being used. And I would love to see what their analytics look like on the back end of something like this, as far as what their average earnings per clicks are, because I'm sure it's huge, and I'm also sure that it's just in general like probably ridiculously effective. And so this company obviously understands, I think, a few key elements here is that they know specifically what are the biggest things that are driving people to take action. And I'd be interested to see. So, yeah, it's just very interesting. I think that one thing that's very effective in his emails is that they're super short and to the point, and that's interesting because it's the way that Donald Trump talks, right? If somebody was talking to him when they were I watched the debates in the last election, and he would just say things like wrong and nope and things like that, right? And so it's very much in his voice, in his tone, and it's, I think, probably ridiculously effective. It would be so interesting to see what are the actual results from this. I'm actually surprised that they don't have Clinton in there as far as like the lock her up stuff. And that was a big... Nope, they actually didn't send any Hillary Clinton emails, which is interesting. I just thought it would be an interesting take on it. So I would love to know, though, what do you guys think about this? Is there anything that you have questions about in your marketing? I think that the biggest takeaways, just to review here, are number one, you have to really know your audience. And you have to know who your marketing is for and who it is not for. Number two, they're segmenting right off the bat. People that open and click and engage with these emails, they are intentionally being divisive because they're trying to send only the people that will actually take action to these different things. And the ways that they're generating people into these funnels is through like these she's not president there, Jesse. Anyways, I think that it's just super interesting to consider what the applications that you can use this stuff for in your own business. One other thing that I think is super interesting is that they email at least once, I think, as far as frequency goes. They're sending emails very often. It's probably, looks like it's at least every 2 days here that it's coming in. And so if you're trying to sell more, the way to do that is send more emails. So anyways, that's it for now. If you have any questions or comments or need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I appreciate you for watching. It's good to see you, Jesse, my friend. And if you ever need anything, be sure to reach out. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.